Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my DBT series on skills you can use for emotional regulation. And this is based on dialectical behavioral therapy. So today I'm going to talk to you about an incredibly useful tool for distress tolerance called accepts. This skill is a lifeline when you're facing emotional storms, especially during trauma healing or severe depression. It's not about avoiding your feelings, it's about managing overwhelming emotions until you are at a place, a calmer state of mind to address the issues head on. So when you're healing from trauma, emotions can feel extreme extreme, just like huge waves, threatening to sweep you away or to choose unhealthy behaviors. Whether you're being triggered by a difficult memory, you received some distressing news, or you're just simply navigating a tough day. So Accepts offers practical steps to help you balance and control your mind, or just regain control from this really heavy state of mind that you're in. So what accepts stands for, ACCEPTS stands for activities, contributing, comparisons, emotions, push away, thoughts, and sensation. I'm going to break down each step and give you examples of what you can do so it can be part of your healing journey. And that's what we're here for on this channel, learning ways and we can heal trauma and depression. So the first one is activities. So when you're in that distressed state, you might want to choose or engage in an activity, something that's going to keep you busy and provide you a mental break from your emotions. You're all angry, you're all upset. And it can be something as simple as, hey, I'm going to go for a walk outside, get some fresh air. I'm going to do some gardening. I'm going to cook, bake. I'm going to organize my drawer, clean my house. It's just a healthy distraction from this overwhelming state of mind you're in. And the reason why this is beneficial is, suppose you're like stuck, you're ruminating about this toxic argument you've had with a loved one, and your emotions feel out of control. So if you pick up, instead of letting it get out of control, like, hey, I'm going to come go around and mop the floors, I'm going to start cleaning my house, I'm going to start organizing my room, you're redirecting your focus so you have a chance to cool down. And let me think of some other activities you can do. You can perhaps call a good friend and talk to your friend about it. Or you can, maybe you have some creative activities that you can do, like drawing or painting. And you'll be surprised how that other activity might calm your state of mind. Hey, I even thought of how about painting and knitting. Well, anyway, whatever that's good for you and something that you like to do. So the next one is C, or contributing. Now, contributing means you are doing something kind for someone, an act of service. You're shifting your perspective, you're taking yourself outside of you in this heavy moment by boosting your mood because you want to do something good for someone else. It could be a family member, it could be a neighbor, it could be a coworker. It's a powerful way to calm the distress that you're in. So maybe you can send a thoughtful text to a friend that you haven't spoken to in a long time. Maybe a neighbor needs help and you can help them. Maybe they're grieving and you can give them something special. Or you can, maybe you're walking by a homeless and you want to give them some money or anything else. So it's just something that you want to think about. That what does contributing mean to you? Of course, it can mean volunteering at a local shelter. It could be something that you're an advocate for and you want to help the organization. So these actions really matter. You're contributing to a wider part of the community that can be hurt, that can feel victimized, and you're putting energy towards that. Although maybe you are going through distressing moments too, but you can do that at the same time, helping others while you are helping yourself. So that's something that to consider. I'm sure there's volunteering organizations in your community or online that you can look at to do something to contribute. Now, the next C in accepts is comparisons. So what does comparisons mean? We all do it, sometimes for the good and sometimes for the bad. But comparisons is being putting yourself in a different frame of mind or perspective. You're reflecting and comparing yourself not just to others, but to yourself. You compare yourself to a time when you had overwhelming challenges and you've overcome them, even though you thought, oh, in this difficult circumstances, there's just no way I'm going to get over it and move forward with it. But you can look back and say to yourself and praise yourself that, hey, I did do that. I had that inner strength and resilience, and I was able to do that. And the reason why in recovery this is beneficial is when you are continue to be overwhelmed with current struggles, you can think back to times where you had horrible moments and you were able to have the courage to overcome it with determination and move forward. And in healing journey, you're going to have the good and the bad days. You're going to feel like you are progressing. Sometimes you feel like you get setbacks, but as you keep moving forward, you're going to be able to compare the hardest days that you were able to overcome to the current situation and kind of make you feel better. And although with comparisons, I hate to say this, but sometimes even though you see other people saying compare yourself to people that are worse off than you, and the problem I see that with that is sometimes you're feeling like you're worse off than everyone else, and you might have a hard time finding that person. Like, why am I going to find somebody worse than me when I already feel like I'm in that worse state? So whether that helps you or not, I don't know, but it's just a suggestion. That's not to say that it's going to help everyone. Even to put your life at perspective is because just as that example that I shared earlier. So anyway, the next one is E for emotions. We are in this emotional state, in this heavy state. And you remember these steps? I know they can be challenging, but that's why it's called a practice. It's a mental health practice. So even though I'm sharing these steps, you're thinking, oh, I tried that and it was so hard. And it's just seeing what works for you. What's the best skill that works for you? Try it. Works, that's great. You can keep doing it or give it another shot and to see if it helps you. So with emotions, you want to invoke the opposite emotion that you are currently feeling. So for instance, if you're feeling anxious right now, instead of trying, you can try, maybe you have a prescription to kind of calm that emotional state. Well, that's between you and your psychiatrist, because I know some people, they get like panic attacks or in those extreme states, they need to be medicated, depending on what you're going through. But this is a skill to learn on your own without medication, is maybe to try meditating to calm your emotions, listening to calm music. So that's opposite of being anxious. Or if you're sad, the opposite emotion you want to invoke is something funny, watching a funny video, maybe talking to somebody that makes you laugh, looking at uplifting photos. So basically, you're trying to look for the opposite emotion and how can you experience that. And the reason why this is beneficial is you are emotionally drained right now, and it's just like, how much more anger can you have? How much more sadness? How much more of these heavy emotions can you feel? But if you invoke something that's the opposite, or even just give it a try, again, I know it's difficult. You're like, well, gosh, how do I get out of this unhappy state? It's just like, seriously, how am I supposed to be happy? But if you look at some things, maybe photos of a previous time that you were able to do some things that were good for you, and maybe puts a smile of your face, maybe upbeat music. I know music therapy helps a lot of people. Artwork, something, even if it's just a slight lift in that emotion, that's what it's supposed to do to help you to get out of that really difficult anger or any other heavy emotional state that you are in. So that was for E. Now we're on to P. Now, P stands for push away. What is push away? So sometimes you have this huge problem and you're just not ready to face it, and that's okay. So temporarily setting aside the issue, if that's possible, if it's not like a quick decision that you have to make, you need to give yourself a chance to regroup, to breathe, to gather some strength, and to set aside a time later that you can face that issue when you are able to. And this can be getting a difficult medical diagnosis, and you can be dwelling on it, the uncertainty of it, the confusion about it. And then after that initial emotional storm, you want to put aside some time to manage ways on how you can handle it. Like, what do you need to do? I'm going to research it. Who do I need to see? Research places of doctors or medical groups or support groups I need to take part in. So it's just that out of that heavy emotional first encounter of the state, that you don't want to address the problem right away, but eventually when you feel a little bit calmer, then that's what you're going to do. So you're just temporarily pushing it aside and saying, when I'm able to take a deep breath and catch a grip, then I'm able to face it. And this can be anything. It can be a difficult situation at work. You got a bad review at work, an email from a coworker, and instead of reacting to it right away with anger or just with frustration, and sometimes something bad is not, something good's not going to come from your mouth. Maybe you want to just step aside and take a walk outside, or do something that you're more clear-minded so you can confront it later in the day instead of immediately by reacting in a way you might regret later. So that was with P, with push away. Next is T for thoughts. So the point of this is you want to replace intrusive thoughts with mentally engaging activities like puzzles, counting backward, or reciting poetry. You want to kind of distract these bad thoughts that can sometimes be self-sabotaging. So these activities are going to keep your mind busy and help you break free from these harmful thought spirals. And the reason why this is beneficial is, suppose you have a flashback and your mind gets stuck in that loop of negativity in this flashback that you're having. Maybe you can try a crossword puzzle or a mental game like naming all the states, helping you anchor in the present moment. Actually, anything that's like fun to you. I don't know what activity, working on a crossword puzzle. How about a Sudoku puzzle? Anything. It's just to kind of replace those negative thoughts with activities that busy your mind immediately. Like reciting the alphabet back, or trying to kind of regain control and not get into self-harm or self-sabotaging behavior because your mind is taking over you and you just can't get out of this negative state. And you can spiral into that negative self-talk. But by refocusing on a challenging mental activity like a crossword puzzle, it's going to interrupt that cycle in your brain and ground you in the present moment. Of course, this is just examples. I'm sure you can come up with your own. So that's how thoughts, to replacing those intrusive thoughts that can be damaging. Last one is S for sensation. Use your senses to self-soothe. Whether it's lighting a scented candle of your favorites, like a vanilla, lavender, anything that makes you feel good, sipping tea, chamomile tea, peppermint tea, green tea, or wrapping yourself in a soft blanket. Engaging all your senses can ground you and provide comfort. And other things can be, like taking a warm bath, enjoying a comforting snack, listening to soft music. So basically, the benefit of this is, for example, you had an overwhelming phone call with a friend or family member. It's stressed you out and it's just very heavy. So the way to self-soothe would be maybe you want to take a warm bath with soothing music. Or maybe you can hold an ice cube in your hand. We talked about that in the other DBT skill video of tips. Icing to kind of put it on your forehead, rub it in your hand. It's supposed to soothe heavy emotional state, which can be incredibly grounding. And this is going to help you calm down and feel more in control of your body and emotions with sensation. Anyway, these are some examples, and hopefully they helped you. And coming up maybe with your own examples on the accept skills. So it's a toolkit to help you navigate distressing emotions until you're ready to face the issue head on. It's a vital part of the healing process because it always allows you to create space for reflection and recovery without getting overwhelmed. So these skills are very useful in moments of crisis, but they're also worth practicing during your calmer times so they feel natural when you need them the most. Perhaps you can practice one or more every day, even if you don't need it, but it just becomes a little more automatic. And remember, if you're struggling to manage on your own, please seek the help of a therapist. I have one option for online therapy below. If not that, please look into other therapists so you can get one-on-one attention. And remember, healing doesn't have to be a solo journey. You don't have to do it alone. And these DBT skills, which I share with you, they're just something to help you to manage your mental health so you have skills available to yourself when you're not in therapy. Because, there's skills you have to basically learn how to do it on your own. And I know you can do it. And I really appreciate if any of these skills have helped you. Not only that, if they've helped you, if you want to offer other suggestions to people, maybe personal experience, you can share in the comments. And thank you so much for listening, everyone. I wish you the best on your healing.